you ever wondered about what the best things that you can do for the planet might be as an individual? Well, today we're going to be talking about the 10 best things that you can do for the planet as an individual. Hello everyone, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all sorts of things zero waste, focusing on free, easy, and fun ways to live low waste. If I talk a little bit too fast for you, good news, YouTube is very accessible. Use the gear icon, change the speed slower. Number one on this list is there for a reason, and that is to vote. No, I don't just mean every 4 years in the presidential election. I mean vote all year long. So first, get registered. If you have never registered before, if you recently turned 18, go get registered to vote. I will leave a link down below. Especially if you're seeing this post right now, go make sure you're registered today because some states might have already had their primary elections. Some states might have theirs coming up soon. You don't want to miss out. Go get registered right now so you can vote in your primary. Next, if you vote absentee like I do, don't forget that some states every single January require you to re-register to vote absentee. Ohio was that way. Now that I'm a Washington resident, thankfully that's no longer a thing. I'm automatically registered and ready to go. But this is something I didn't know until last year. This was news to me and I've been voting absentee for 6 years. So double check, especially with this voting season coming up. And of course, vote in all elections, especially in a presidential election year. Don't just vote in November. Vote right now during your state's primaries. That's how your state determines which Republican and which Democrat are going to be on the ballot in November. I'm also talking about voting for your mayor, voting for your school board, your sheriff, your governor, whoever it may be on your state's election, on your state's ballot. Make sure you're voting all year long. The next best thing that I think that we can do for the planet is to compost. It might sound very silly and simple and easy, and why in the world is that my number 2 thing that we can do for the planet? That's because we produce a lot of food waste in the terms of scraps like orange peels, banana peels, broccoli stems, as well as food that went bad in our home, food maybe that we didn't cook very well, leftovers that went bad, even restaurant and grocery store waste. Food waste is a huge deal for the environment and you can learn more about it in this video. But in short, it creates methane, and methane is worse than CO2, so the less food waste that we send to the landfill, the fewer methane emissions are going to be created. Not only this, but we're also running out of landfill space, and you can learn more about our landfills running out of space in this video down below. So it's important for that reason as well to make sure that we have room in our landfills for decades to come and not just years to come. But there's also something in it for you. You get free fertilizer if you're a gardener or a farmer, or maybe someone in your neighborhood does this. You can give them free fertilizer, as well as it will reduce smells in your house. I don't know about you, but I noticed a big change when I started composting. My house was no longer stinky. I didn't have to worry about my critters getting into it. I didn't have to worry about bugs. If you have never started composting before and you want to start right now, I recommend checking out this video where I talk about 12 different ways that you can compost, from starting at your own bin, a compost pile, curbside pickup, dropping it off, and so much more. Number 3 is to ditch big oil as much as possible. I know it's not possible to do it 100%, especially as a car driver. Maybe you're a car driver like me. But here's some things that you can do to boycott big oil, even if you still drive a car. I think the easiest thing and probably the most common thing that people think about is carpooling, walking, biking, or taking public transportation. Essentially ditching your car as much as possible. But there are other ways that you can boycott big oil that maybe you didn't think about. For example, buying less plastic. And if you're like, why in the world does that reduce my reliance on big oil? You can check out this video after this. I'll leave it tagged below, where I talk about the history of plastic and how plastic is made from oil and how that's actually contributing to our reliance on plastic. If you still use a car, just be mindful of your gas usage. Set your cruise control. Don't idle. Make sure you're getting as many miles to the gallon as possible. Take more efficient routes and so forth. When you're renting a car, opt for an EV or a hybrid. And if you're upgrading your car, you need a new one, opt for an EV or a hybrid. And also divesting your money. A lot of our banks actually give money to big oil and other wasteful industries. So if you take your money out of that bank, put your money into a bank that's actually investing your money into good for the planet and its people, that will show the market where the demand is. Similar to that is voting with your dollar and boycotting wasteful brands. Your dollars matter. Even just one of your dollars matters, especially in a capitalist society. If a company notices its sales are going down, it's going to change something. Money drives everything. It's also a great way that we can all work together, take collective action, and also save money. The biggest example, I'm sure you've seen it recently, is with McDonald's and Starbucks, the boycott of them due to them supporting Israel's genocide of Palestinians. Now, did every single person in the world boycott? No, but enough people did. Sales plummeted and they are absolutely grasping at straws to stay afloat. They're doing special sales and special discounts and stuff like that. They're getting desperate, and it shows, and it also shows that they know that our boycott worked. And at this point, they can either, surrender and say we're no longer going to support Israel so that they can get their money back, or they can keep pushing this narrative, and eventually they already are suffering the consequences of their actions. We've also seen this with vegan swaps in the recent years. As veganism has become more popular, as eating fewer animals and drinking less milk has become more popular, the more vegan swaps that are on the shelves, the more brands that are getting involved because they know that's where the money is. So it kind of works either way. All that to say, they will listen to us, rather they will listen to our money. Because who controls profits besides greedy CEOs? We do. So not only is it important to boycott unethical brands, but also unsustainable brands. I personally boycott brands like McDonald's, Amazon, Coca-Cola for being polluters. And when it comes to where I choose to spend my money, I choose as local and family owned as possible. Another great thing that we can do for the planet is to eat less meat and fewer animal products in general. Because our diets matter too, and they can have a really big impact if we eat a really heavy meat diet. Now, before anybody clicks away, I'm not saying that anybody has to be fully vegan or fully vegetarian, but rather cut out a little bit. See if you can do one meatless day per week. See if you can do one vegan meal per day, one vegan meal per week, and then eventually increase it. Maybe you do one vegan meal a day. And if you're wondering why this is better for the planet, here's some quick stats about water and animal usage and then human food usage. And if you want to learn more in depth, you can check out this video. No matter what we eat, it's going to have some sort of impact on the planet. If I was only on a strict potato-only diet, that would still use water, resources, fertilizer, land space, destroy biodiversity, etc. But the point here is to destroy less. Because a cow does eat over 100,000 pounds of food in its life, it's going to need a lot more resources than you, who does not eat nearly as much as a cow. All right, for this next one, we're bringing it back to our representatives. We're going to now not just vote, but also email, call, and write to them. Our elected officials were elected by us, maybe not me personally, but us, the people. And they do work for us. Whether they actually do that or not, that's what they're there for. So because they work for us, let's tell them what we want them to do. If there's new climate legislation coming up, tell them how you want them to vote. If there's something wasteful coming up on the ballots in legislation, tell them that you want them to vote no. For example, with a lot of pipelines, but there's been a lot of pipeline increase in the last few years with Line 3, the Willow Project, for example. Tell them that what's happening within the government is bad for the planet and tell them that you want them to intervene. And once again, this one really is collective action. You know, if one person boycotts McDonald's, it doesn't have much of an impact. If one person writes one letter to one representative, it might not have much of an impact. But if all of us collectively are writing to our elected officials, they're gonna see it. And similar to that is to sign petitions. Once again, this is heavily reliant on collective action, but it does work. Bringing it back to the Willow Project, this was a very hot topic in 2023. We collectively made enough noise that it was canceled. And why? Because enough people cared to take a few minutes out of their day to sign a petition and show the government that hundreds of thousands of people are against environmental destruction. Now, had every single person who had signed this petition said, that's bigger than me, my voice doesn't matter, what I have to say doesn't matter, Willow Project would have continued and it would have polluted the land, the air, the water, the people there, it would have displaced people. But instead, enough people said, my voice does matter, this isn't gonna take me a lot of time, this is a very simple task to do, and this issue is so important to me, so I'm gonna sign it. And again, because enough people signed it, it got canceled. The next thing that you can do for the environment is to share information. Whether that be a good video you watch on YouTube or TikTok, whether that be a good blog post or even a good book or movie you watched, share that with others so that they can get inspired, they can get educated, and we can all keep learning about these things. Because I would have never known about certain issues, again, like the Willow Project, about the current genocide in Palestine, had people not in my circle shared these things with me. And I'm sure because I share that information, someone in my circle then learned about it as well. There are so many different ways that you and I can get information, and our friends and our neighbors can get information, because if I share a TikTok, my in-laws aren't gonna see it, my parents aren't gonna see it. But if I share something on Facebook or I recommend a book to them, that's how they're gonna get informed. So also know your audience. Number 9 is to shop secondhand. I personally believe that we have already created everything that we will already need. Everyone. I think we have enough things created on this earth for every single human, probably for forever. Things like clothes, furniture, pots and pans, games, tech, so many things that we don't need to make more. Now, why is shopping hand so important? There are selfish reasons and there are environmental reasons. For selfish reasons, it's cheaper. You can also get very unique and very high quality products shopping secondhand. Now for the environmental reasons, of course. First, as we already discussed, we are running out of landfill space, so the fewer things that we send to the landfill, the better it's going to be for everyone. So by buying the inventory, that means that less and less is going to get thrown out if it's not sold, as well as it makes more room on the floor to input new product. Because our thrift stores are also kind of running out of space. They're running out of space, our landfills are running out of space, and you can watch that video down below as well. As well as it prevents new items from being created from new resources. That means it prevents new oil from being extracted, new gold and silver and other tech materials from being harvested. It prevents new metal from being extracted. There are so many different resources that are prevented from even being created by shopping secondhand instead. Not only that, but also resources when it comes to energy and water. It takes a lot of energy and water to create brand new things, from jeans to shoes to toys and more. And you can learn more about the importance of shopping secondhand in this video. Our last one for today is to use what you already have. So shop secondhand from other people and also shop secondhand from yourself. Sounds a little silly when you put it that way, but I'm saying if you need a jar just see if you have an empty pickle jar, an empty jam jar, instead of going to buy a new one. Shopping your pantry before you go to the grocery store, making sure you use the ingredients that you already have. This also means mending, fixing the hole in your shirt instead of throwing the shirt away and buying a new shirt. That's a lot of shirts. Maybe it also means using that shampoo that's maybe not the most sustainable instead of throwing it away and buying a sustainable shampoo. It really all comes back to using what has already been created, preventing stuff from going to the landfill, preventing the creation of new materials. Notice how none of these 10 things were about buying the latest zero waste swap, switching to green energy in your home. Well, that does matter. We also didn't talk about having to be the perfect zero waster to have the biggest impact on the planet, because that's impossible. Nobody can be perfect. As well as buying stuff is not going to get us out of the climate crisis. Now, I know we all need an eco-friendly toilet paper when we run out of the old one. We all need an eco-friendly deodorant when we run out of the old one. There are places to buy these swaps, but I'm not saying that you need solar panels, you need the Lomi, you need the latest Stanley Cup to reduce waste and save the planet. So do what you can. If you can do all these 10 things, that's amazing, but if you can only do 1 or 2 right now, that's amazing as well. Any action that any of us can take towards the planet is going to make a better future for us all. Now, if you are looking for zero waste swaps that you can buy to save the planet, not save the planet, not save the planet. If you're looking for some zero waste swaps that are better for the planet than the current products that you're already using, I'll have several videos linked down below with some of my favorite swaps, swaps for beginners, swaps for advanced, and everything in between. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. I will see you in the next video, but until then, remember that your small actions make a big difference in the long run. Bye, guys. Oh heavens. Top 10 things that I think are the best things that you can do. That was really stuttery. But I'm not just talking about that either. I'm talking vote for your mail. That's because Americans reduce, that's because, or I talk about, what do I talk about?